So what, instead of just going through the exact number, what you can do that you can write an equation. And the equation is written like this: the P T1, that is time in future, equals current population multiplied by 1 plus the growth rate. Growth rate means that what is the percentage growth rate, and raised to the power of time. Okay, so it looks complicated but very easy. The PT1 is the population in the future, T0 is population at present, R is the growth rate per person, and that's why you have 1 plus R. What it means, the growth rate is usually mentioned in percentage. So if the percentage growth rate is 2%, that means 2 divided by 100. Okay, and the T is the number of years between the two projection, between 0 and 1. So in Pakistan, population in 1998, that was the census, last census conducted in Pakistan. And if you want to know that currently, 14 years later, how many people are living in Pakistan, because we don't know, we have not done any census. But fortunately, with the help of the demographic surveys which are conducted, we know the natural increase. We know what is the birth rate and what is the death rate. And that is about 2%, 2.1%. 2.1 divided by 100 comes to 0.021, right? So if you want to solve this equation, it looks like this. 132.4 was the population in 1992, and 1 plus 0.021 raised to the power of 14. If you have calculator, then you will see that their population would be 174.7 million in 2012. Okay. Now, not necessarily that is the, you can say, okay, if the growth rate would have been 1.8%, Pakistan's population would be 170 million. And so you can play with that. You say, okay, the current growth rate is 2.1%. At the time of 1998, the growth rate of Pakistan was 2.6%. So the average growth rate would be 2.4%. So you can apply, instead of 2.1, you can apply 2.4. And then you can see, okay, this is a number. Now, I have done some projections, and I think that Pakistan's population was not 132 million, it was 138 million. Because I have done an evaluation of 1998 census for the United Nations. And you see, censuses are very political in most countries of the world, especially in the developing countries. For that reason, Lebanon has not conducted a census since 1936, because in 1936, they had decided that 50% of the census said that 50% of the population is Muslim, 60% is Christian. So Christian should be the president, and Muslim should be the prime minister. And since then, the population proportion has changed. And so they don't want to disturb that, the constitution which is written. In Pakistan, because a lot of migration is taking place from other provinces to Sindh. And if you look at the population of Sindh as a percentage of Pakistan's population, in 1951 it was 17%, in 1961 it was 19%, in 1972 it was 21%, in 1981 it was 23%. So technically in 1998 it should have been somewhere about 25-26%, because a lot of people are migrating. But something went wrong, and I have looked at it, why it is so. About 6 million people were reduced in 1998 census for political reasons. That's what my view is, but I don't want to dwell into it. I may be wrong. But I have looked at it, I have projected and what should have been. Or maybe in other parts of the country also. it's possible that population was 140 million. But still, United Nations, if you go to the United Nations website, all their publication, they quote a figure of 185 million population of Pakistan. If you look at the Pakistan Census Office, Statistics Office website, they say it's 174 million. So it's a disputed number. So the census doesn't always give you the right number. If it is, and it has also used to happen also in the United States, by the way. They used to show there are fewer blacks. They do it in India, they show there are less Muslims. So it's all over. In Nigeria there's a problem. So don't consider that, but that's something which I thought. No, I talked about it, that if the population is Pakistan's, it's officially it's growing at the rate of 2%, and it's possible that Pakistan's population is going to double in the next 35 years. Now, why this doubling is very important? Because if you're making any planning, if you want to do hospitals, you want to do schools, you want to do colleges, you want to do water supply, you want to do transport, you have to do accordingly, because it takes, you have set up a hospital in an area. You say, okay, you need so many beds per 1,000 population. Okay, and you say, okay, currently Pakistan's population, official population, is 174 million, so we need so many beds, which should fulfill the needs of everybody. Okay, and then by the time the hospital is going to be constructed, it will take 5 years. And the next 30 years, if you say, okay, we have taken care of, everybody is taken care of, everybody can go, there are enough hospital beds, but in next 30 years, the population of Pakistan is going to be doubled. Or in next 10 years, it's going to increase at the rate of 25%. So Pakistan's population is now 175 million, 174 million. In next 10 years, it's going to be 200 million. So you have to, if you are talking about that, okay, health for all by year 2000 or 2020, and you are planning only for 175 million people. Actually, you should be planning for 200 million people in next 7-8 years. And that's why I think is the reason why the health for all didn't succeed in countries like Pakistan. Because you planned health for all in 1970, when was it? 1972, 75? Huh? 78. And by 2000, so we planned in 1978, Pakistan's population was 80 million. By year 2000, Pakistan's population was 140 million. Okay. So, and same is true for education for all. So the thing is this, unless until you take into consideration how many people you are planning for, not now, 10 and 20 years later, you are never going to achieve the target. And that's also the reason that most of the MDGs in Pakistan have not been achieved. We are far, far behind in all of the MDGs, because apparently they didn't take into consideration that, okay, it's not, you're not talking about 140 million people in year 2000, but you're talking about 200 million people in 2015. That's what we are going to be in next, we are already, as a matter of fact, 185 according to the UN. Every year we are adding about 4 to 5 million people. So in next 3 years, we will be 200 million, very simple. Or if you look at Pakistan's figure, we would be 190 million. So it's not that much difference, okay? And that's why it's going to be problematic for achieving any target.